Plan, start, track, measure, and finish. Measure and finish. Got an absolutely awesome leadership call a little bit earlier with our team here this morning with the awesome Mr. Ed Haynes. So glad to be a part of that movement, that organization, but primarily just blessed. I just put a post on my Facebook page from 2 years ago for some gold trades. And I've been, if you don't know me, sort of gold is like my go-to, right? And the reason I heard this, and I don't remember who said it specifically, but some of the, I think things, and again, it's whatever's up to you, whatever you feel that you can do. I just picked up on the thing of trade one or two things and get really, really good at them, and you can make a decent living, right? You don't have to trade all 28 pairs of Forex and all 652 pairs of crypto and 40,000 different things in stock options. Pick one or two, right? Or maybe even just one and get really good at it, right? Just get really, really good at it. So one of the strategies, right? One of the strategies that I know, and I'm going to share this with you, is that when you have something that you do, is you have to know where you're going, right? You have to know where you are going. Hey, Barbara, you have to have a general idea. And I think with new traders, and they say have a trading plan, have a trading journal. You know, when I hear journal, I'm like, I'm not taking a journal, but I do track and measure stuff using spreadsheets and things like that. So I'll call that my journal, right? Because I need to know, you know, when I entered the trade, how many pips I got on the trade, how many losses I had versus how many wins, how many, you know, and when you start doing this, I'm going to show you how I do this, how it makes sense to me, right? In my green brain, to be able to move forward to say, okay, if I'm going to get into trading, even if you're in an academy that sends out trade signals, right? What's going to happen is you're going to get these trade signals. You're going to get a couple of losses. And you're going to freak out because you're not tracking and measuring. You have no idea where you're at in the mix. So I want to get into that. But before I do, for those of you that are thinking about learning how to trade, reach out to me. I can get you hooked up with our academy. Totally excited about that. Got a lot of good things going on with it. You've got a stock options academy that you can roll into. You've got a Forex academy you can roll into. You've got a crypto academy that you can roll into, and a lot of really other cool stuff that you can participate in, just depending on what your deal is. But for the basics of tracking and measuring, you have to know where you're going. You have to have a journey mapped out so you know, okay, this is going to be my plan. This is when I'm going to start, and I need to track and measure so when I get to the finish line, I know exactly what to expect in the future. And the cool thing about it in trading, you can do it all on demo accounts, right? Or as they call paper accounts. You can get that all set up. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Forrest Knight. I'm a social media marketing strategist and coach. I love helping people succeed online, specifically with a goal to help 1,000 families earn a six-figure annual income. And that means that's $8,400 a month. And I don't know if you're watching this and you'd like to earn $8,400 a month. You've got to find a system, a strategy, or something that works, whether it's a network marketing company, learning how to trade, selling tennis shoelaces to people that have tennis shoes, whatever it is, right? You've got to find something that's going to work for you and plan it, start it, track and measure it, and finish it, and go after your goals and your dreams, and you'll hit it big time. And of course, the best way to do that is get a really good mentor, get some people that have done it before you, get into a really cool community that all have a very, very similar vision. Now, not everybody in our community has a goal to help people. They just want to help themselves. And that's absolutely okay. Because the cool thing about it is if you're making a lot of money or making more money than you are now, guess what? You're going to spend more money at the grocery store. The grocery store owner is going to make more money. You're both going to pay more taxes. The community you live in is going to use those taxes to hopefully upgrade stuff, not just make the politicians rich, right? Whatever it is, the more money you make that goes out into the community, the better the community is and the better everybody is as a whole, right? You have an opportunity to provide in charities and things that you like to help. So going to get off that bandwagon and show you this. And I don't care what pair you're trading. I'm going to give an example on GJ, but I don't care what pair you're trading. If you're getting brand new into the trading arena, you need to have a way to figure out what you're going to do. I would suggest you not try to trade everything. Just find one or two things. I trade gold. And occasionally I'll take another trade like an AUD USD or a GJ or something like that. But specifically, I focus 90%. All right, baby. Turn off the light in the bathroom, will you? The GJ trade or gold trade or whatever you decide that you want to trade, completely up to you. You just need to know. And the reason I'm saying that is everything that you trade has a certain move to it. It's always going to be like, you do this and then it does this. If the news comes out, I know that around 7:30 in the morning, typically gold has some type of spike. 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, it has a spike, right? Like yesterday, it had like this crazy, like ridiculous spike in it, right? Where if you would have tried to do a stop loss and entry point on that spike, you probably would have got stopped out, because I mean, it moved like huge. And sometimes when you get a huge move like that, it sort of throws a skew into your measuring. So you just have to know those dances. You just have to either say, well, I'm not going to trade gold until after the news or until after that spike. If you're looking at things like that, even if you get a trade idea from, say, one of the smart kids in front of the class, and you take a look at your charts because you've been doing this for a little while, say, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to enter that trade. When in doubt, bill out. So let's take a look at this. Again, got a disclaimer scrolling across the bottom right here. Trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for everyone. Not all trades result in wins. Never risk money. Do not trade with money you can't afford to lose. Light on fire. It's not a get rich quick deal. This is a get rich, get wealthy, earn money long term. Make a commitment to 3 to 5 hours a week to learn how to trade. Open up a demo account, set your plans and your goals, and then come and hang out with a cool crew of people and ask a lot of questions like Jeff does, right? And other people that come and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm going to give you my honest opinion on stuff, right? And again, my experience, you can't use my experience as a beginner to start out where I did, because when I first started trading, when I actually went live in my first, and I practiced with a demo account for about 18 months. 18 months on a demo account. 18 months on a demo account, because I wanted to track and measure. I wanted to know when I got in the game, right? I wanted to know when I got in the game, my win ratio was going to be a lot more than my loss ratio, right? I figured out what type of style I wanted to trade with. I fell in love with trading gold. I'm like, okay, there's my dude and my dudette, right? The pair that I want to date. I figured out what it was moving at. And then when I actually opened my first live account, it was for $500. And my goal was for the next 30 days, or the next 30 trades, I wanted to earn $25, $25. That was all my goal was. I wanted 25 in and out. I don't care if I made $25 in 2 minutes or it took me 35 minutes or an hour. When I hit that $25 goal, I was done for the day, and I got that. Then I increased it to 100, and then 400, and then 1,000, and then that you have dated goals. Now my goal is to get to the point where every time I trade, I'm earning 2,500. Haven't hit that yet, but when I do, I'm going to celebrate the heck out of it, and everybody will know. So check this out, and that takes time. I'm not rushing it, right? The trading industry is not going anywhere, right? It's the biggest challenge that we have trading is mindset. You gotta chill. You gotta wait, right? 18 months on a demo account, right? And look at this. 3 years later, 3 years later, bam. So let's say that to say this. Yeah, that's sort of exciting to think about that, right? Most people don't want to track and measure. They don't want to practice that long to get the results. How many times? Wonder how many how many practice games Michael Jordan was in before he actually got into the NBA, right? I wonder how many the guys that are playing the Super Bowl. I wonder how many practice games they practiced to get as good as they are to get where they're at today, right? Think about that, right? They didn't just show up at a Super Bowl and win. Even when the guy for the Rams, he was here in St. Louis. I can't think of his name. He came in as a backup quarterback. He still practiced to get where he was at to be able to take the Rams to the Super Bowl. So John Elway, one of the best quarterbacks in I believe ever in history to play the game of football. That dude was a beast when it came to practice. So let me get off the bandwagon and show you guys what we've got going here. Let's do the share screen. Entire screen window. Click on that one. Here we go. So and I put this up here to say use a demo account, use a demo account, use a demo account. And you can use a demo account for as long as you feel that you need to use a demo account, not just to use a demo account just to put in numbers, but you've got to come up with a system that's going to track and measure your trades, whether they're trades that you're taking by yourself, which I would suggest that when you pick out the pair that you want to trade, whether it's AUD, USD, Euro, GBP, whatever pair that you decide that you want to trade, right? Pick out that pair and start practicing with it. I love to use Fibonacci pivots as one of my go-to tools. I use an EMA tool, and I use the Chris Moody MACD. None of those which are on the chart right now, because that's not what we're talking about today, but I learned how to use those tools to increase my chances of winning when I put in a trade. So one of the cool things about enrolling into our academy is that our instructors, and this happens to be one of them, he drops in some really cool trades every now and then. And this is a trade that he dropped on Friday. Now, I'm not a big fan of taking Friday trades, especially towards noontime, and he dropped this like right at noon. I opted not to take the trade, but I'm going to use this for trade examples because I don't know where it's going to go when the market opens back up on Sunday night, Sunday evening, right? It could spike and open up way the heck up here and then come way down here, and it might just do some consult. Who knows? We don't know, right? There's going to be some news that's going to come out. But anyway, so this is the trade. So I did this for example purposes, right? And I just took myself and I put an entry point right here. I use this really cool measuring tool that's right over here on the side, right, for longs and shorts. And this is going to be a short. So I put that right over here, and I put this in and I mark mine. Now, here's how we track and measure what we do. So you get this trade idea as a beginner, and you open it up and you put it onto your demo account. And of course, wherever price is at when you enter is where you're at, right? So you're going to enter this trade. You're going to put in the TP1 position, maybe TP2 position. I wouldn't worry about the rest of these for right now, but you just want to track this. I put all this stuff on here to show you the best way. And again, I shouldn't say the best way. One of the ways that I use to track and measure what I'm doing. So I put in my entry point on a trade, right? Since I trade gold a lot, I would put my entry in here, and I know what my entry is because it's on my phone. That's where I entered my trade. The next thing you do, you've got to figure out what you're going to do for a stop loss. And in the beginning, you're not going to have a clue, so you're just going to go with what the trade idea was because you're using a demo account, right? So in this case, it's going to be like 55 pips up here. It's way up here, which is crazy. That's a lot of pips. And of course, you've got a TP1 position and TP2 position. Now, what I did is I went a little bit extra. So the first thing I did is if I'm doing this trade, I'm going to enter the trade in here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to open up my measuring tool, and I'm going to enter in the coordinates for my TP1, TP2, and so on and so forth. I'll probably just enter my coordinates for my TP2 position, and I can mark all these off, right? So based on the chart over here, it tells me what my TP1 position is going to be. So I highlighted it on the chart, underlined it, came over this little cool tool up here and put this on my chart and marked off TP1. I came down and did TP2. What I also wanted to do, because I know I call it 30 pips and split, I put a 30 pip position on here, and I put a 50 pip position on here, right? I marked my entry on here. Right now, my highest drawdown position is right here, and that is at, I think it was, hold on a second, I'll tell you, about 174 pips in drawdown, or 174, about 17 pips in drawdown is the highest point right now. So let me do that. See, I'm creating a journal as I go. So as you take each trade, right, I put these up here just because I want to know if this trade turns around and decides to come in this direction and it hits 25 pips as a stop loss, then it goes up to 35, and then it turns around and comes down, and it eventually comes down here and hits take profit, right? Although I did set my stop loss maybe way up here and out of crazy zone. I just want to know where this trade is going to go. So when the trade is done, if it does come up here and hit my stop loss, I've got a way to set all this stuff. So when I go to my tracking spreadsheet, I'm going to be able to enter some stuff in that's very interesting. Maybe this trade does take a round, and then I've got to move my highest drawdown point to maybe 27.5 pips. So when I enter this trade into my tracking log, my tracking spreadsheet, I'm going to have all this data in here. It's either going to have a losing data or winning data. Maybe the trade comes down here, right, hits my TP1 wherever I set my TP1, and I can track that. So you need to have, when you're setting up your trades, right, if you're taking the trades as is from the educator and you're putting them into your demo account, TP1 is here, TP2 is here. I'm a 30 pips and out guy because we've been tracking this stuff, and I know that 82% of my trades on the gold side hit at least 30 pips. I just literally today started tracking 50 pips, so I'm not sure what the percentage is on that, because I'm like, wait a minute, I wonder how many actually get to 50 pips on a trade. So I'm going to start tracking that, to see maybe I can get to the point where I've got an 80% close ratio at 50 pips, then guess what? I'm going to do 50 pips and split. 50 pips at one lot size trading gold is $500. You do that 3 times a week, you're at $1,500 a week. You do that 5 times a week, so on and so forth. You do 2 lots. Now you've just doubled that, right? At 50 pips, you double that. That's $1,000 times 3. I'm at $3,000 a week. So it just depends on what you want to do. And as your account balance grows, you can increase that. So I know I went a little bit overboard. I got excited about that. But this is how you track. So you're going to take these trades. You're going to enter them in because you want to just get a general idea. And you're going to do this for the next 10 trades. I'm going to show you this on my spreadsheet. So every time you do this, you're going to open up this really cool thing. You're going to put your entry point. You're just going to enter the trade, right? Wherever the price happens to be at that time. You got to make sure that it's pretty close to the time. If you wait 6 hours, right? This was entered at 11:43. I'm not going to come back at 5 o'clock in the evening time and try to enter this trade. That would be crazy. Of course, on Friday, the market was closed at 5 o'clock, so I've got to wait all the way till Sunday evening to see what's happening with the trade. I'm not going to enter it. I'm still going to put it on my spreadsheet. I'm still going to enter it in TradingView here. I'm going to enter all my parameters. I'm going to come here and try to find 11:45-ish time frame and make that my entry point because that's what time this was dropped here. So it's going to be close, right? I'm going to go ahead and enter my TP1. I'm going to put my TP2 on here. This is all for tracking purposes because you have to know if you're going to take these trades, as submitted by the smart guy in the front of the class, whoever you're deciding to follow. I don't care if you're in our academy or someone else's. If you're going to take these trades, you need to know what kind of closing percentage that you have, right? So I've set all of this stuff up, and then I'm going to track this guy, and I'm going to keep this tab open until something happens. The trade's either going to stop out, it's going to hit TP1, it's going to hit TP2, and I'm going to track these. So I've got this really cool spreadsheet, right? Got a couple of things, right? This on tab 1, this is your balance, right? This is your balance of what you're doing for a trade. So you're going to put in your balance, right, of whatever. It's going to hit whatever you did for an earning. So let's say on TP1, we got $175. That was an increase on this. And let's say I used a lot size. I'm just going to use it in a lot size. I'm not saying this is something you should do, of 1. It gives me my overall growth, as this does on this spreadsheet, of 8%. My total pips increase at 175 is 17.5. I know that because I'm going on a 30 pip. That's how the formula works. And my maximum drawdown, right, on pips, say, for example, if I come back to this chart, maybe it was 17 pips is a maximum drawdown. So I'm going to put that in there, right, for my drawdown pips at 17. If I use this on every single trade that I do, I'm going to have a journal. Now, your lot size is something that you're just going to choose. My overall percentage, but you know your percentage of increase on pips. I've got a second spreadsheet that I use here, which just is my estimator spreadsheet. I went over this on another training. I did that, I think it was yesterday. So if you want to find that, it's on my Facebook page. It's actually in the Facebook group, I believe, but how to use this in terms of percentage of increase, how much I want to set my stop loss at, and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole different deal. But we want to track, what we're doing in terms of what was my starting balance, how much did I actually earn, what was my lot size that I had on my trade, right? My overall percentage of growth, what was my total pip increase, maybe the trade, right? Maybe the trade did make it all the way down here to a TP3 at 43.5 pips. Maybe it did make it down here to 43.5 pips as a stop position, right? So I'm going to put over here, maybe I just went out at TP1 at 14.8 pips, right? Maybe I went out at this position, which is $148 if I'm using a 1 lot size on gold, right? So maybe I did 148, right? So it's 14.8 pips, but the move continued on down and it made it all the way down here to TP2. Maybe if you'd made it past TP2 and it came on down into this area, I want to highlight that. So whatever it ends up at as my tracking. So maybe it did make it all the way down here to, somewhere way the heck down here in the bottom of nowhere before it decided to turn around. I need to change that color so I don't confuse people. All right, so maybe it did make it all the way down here to this one, and that would have been 600 or 60.4 pips, right? So I'd come to my tracking sheet and I would put over here total pips on that move, 60.4, right? Although I may have closed it out at TP1 at $148, which had been 14 pips, the total move on this was all the way down here, which is 60.4 pips, right? Way down. And doing this, right, maximum drawdown was 17 pips. The total move on the trade was 60.4 pips. And again, you can track this how you want to. The whole thing that you want to know is as you start and enter trades, you're going to do this over 10 trades so that you know, right, what was the total increase of pips? You're going to average this out. So maybe your average when it comes out, when it's all said and done, maybe the average ends up being 45.2, right, over 10 trades. A couple of these are going to be losses. If they're losses, you're going to put a 0 and a 0. You're still going to do, and then you've got 8, right? You're going to do the math times divided by 8. That's going to give you your average pip increase, right? Your drawdown pips is always going to be over here. Maybe your average drawdown pips ends up being, 25.2, right? Maybe your average drawdown pips ends up being 25.2. You're going to have numbers you're going to track. You're going to have losses in here. Maybe you end up with a loss. Maybe you end up with a $252 loss, right? If you got a $252, end up with a $252 loss, $252 loss, there's a pretty good chance that your drawdown pips was probably 25.2. But again, you got to measure that on your chart when you come in here. How far down was my drawdown? Where did my drawdown go? Did I go? Maybe I put my stop loss at 25 pips, ended up 25 pips, but drawdown ends up at 27.2 or somewhere up here, right? So I need to put that in as my maximum drawdown. Where did drawdown go? Maybe it took way the heck up this way and just took off. It's like came up, opened up Sunday night, and this trade just went bam and came up here, and then it turned around and came back down this way. This is my maximum drawdown in terms of I hit my stop loss, right? So I lost whatever traded amount of money I put in here. So I do a minus number, right? Whatever trade that happened to be, I put in my minus number. I change that to red, right? Total pip increase would be 0, but maybe my total drawdown, it went just crazy and went out to the ceiling. I want to get an average on my trades over the next 10 trades. I know I said, oh, thanks, Marcia. So this is if you're going to track and measure it, anything that you do, you need to know what your win to loss ratio is. You have to know what your win to loss ratio is. And the best way you're going to do that when you're trading is to do something like this. This takes extra work, right? But again, if you're going to do this, you cannot just open up an account. You can do what you want to. I'm not giving you financial advice, but if you just want to open up and just take trades and just and you don't care, the biggest challenge with doing that is when that instructor decides to go somewhere else, stop sending in trade signals, and you don't have a clue on what you're doing, and you haven't been tracking and measuring, you haven't had any idea. You haven't been going to classes, so you don't know how to, read a Fibonacci pivot and figure, oh, this is that resistance. Where's it going to go from there? Is it going to come down to my pivot point? Is it going to come down to support 1? Is it going to go to resistance? You're not going to have a clue on how to maybe read a Lux Algo or maybe an EMA. You're not going to know what that means. You're not going to understand that. Or maybe if you're using the Chris Moody MACD, you're not going to have any clue outside of that. So you need to track and measure, right? You need to track and measure. So when you have these tools that you're using, they're also going to give you some additional clues or confirmations of which way this trade needs to go, right? When I saw this at 11:45 and it was sitting at this position, I was like, that's not my brain was telling me I'm not entering this trade, especially because I didn't know where it was going to go when the market opens on Sunday. I love to win more than I'd love to lose. So as I'm tracking this, I'm going to have all these positions. So when this trade does something, it's either going to hit TP1, hit TP2, and the trade's going to close out. It might go all the way to TP4. Who knows, right? I'm going to have some general information that I can put on a spreadsheet if I'm tracking this that's going to give me a general idea. And I would create this tab specifically for GJ. If that's a trade that I'm using, I would specifically track this for GJ. I would have one of these set up for each pair you're trading. I trade gold, so mine is set up for gold, right? When I'm doing this, I have a gold tracker that I track my gold on. And you can see I'm a little bit cray-cray about that, right? How many gold trades have we taken since October 1st? 56 gold trades, 46 have ended up on wins, and I'm what I call my TP1 position. On the average, 31 of them, 46 of them have hit at least 30 pips. That's an 82% chance. So I know if I set a trade at 30 pips, 82 out of 8 out of 10 are going to hit a 30 pip position. I know that. So when I go in and open up a trade, I can say there's a good chance that this trade is going to hit 30 pips, right? I'll take 8 out of 10 all day long. I've had 10 losses in that same time. Now I'm going to start tracking my 50 pip position to see how many hit 50 and start moving through this, right? So I did a 30 pips and split. I want to get to 50 pips and split. So the only way I'm going to be able to do that is be able to track this to know that here we go. So I know that for every 30 pip win on this crazy spreadsheet here at one lot, I'm at $300. 2 lots is $600. 3 lots is $900. So at an 82% chance, I could literally set at 3 lots, right? I might want to reduce my take profit side or my stop loss side, but the only way I'm going to know what my maximum stop loss is to be able to track it on my spreadsheet to say, okay, my highest drawdown out of the last 10 trades was 27.2 pips. So I know now how much I'm going to lose if 2 of those trades goes into a losing position. I've lost $540, right? 27 times 20 is 270 times 2 is $540. I've lost $540 over the last 10 trades, but over the last 10 trades, I've also earned X based on my lot size. I probably just blew some people's brains up with the math, but you have to track and measure. You have to plan. You have to have a plan. What's my plan? The plan is I'm going to do 10 trades on a demo account. You can do more. I would suggest that, and just keep doing it. You got to keep tracking and measuring, tracking and measuring, tracking and measuring. You got to have a plan, right? You've got to start somewhere, someday. You can't just sit back and say, oh, I'm going to think about it. You start with a demo account. You go in and say, okay, I'm going to go to these classes, whether you learn how to trade stock options, crypto, or whatever, right? Regular Forex. You just say, hey, man, I like the gold club that Forrest is in. I'm going to do that. Whatever you got to do, you got to track and measure. You got to track and measure. You got to track and measure. Cheat off the smart kids. See what they're doing. Take their stuff. Put it on your chart. Put it on your trading view. Set up the guidelines that you need to go. So you know that 10 trades you did this, 20 trades you did this, 30 trades you did this, 40 trades you did this. Then when you enter a trade, right, and you're going to start to see the movement, the way that it dances. You know, at 7:30, I'm going to wait till about 7:40-ish, unless I'm going to do a scalp and try and catch that move on gold. I'm going to wait till about 7:45, right, before I look at a trade in relationship to maybe my Fibonacci pivots or my retrace or maybe supply and demand or whatever type of trading that you want to learn how to use. That's going to be completely up to you. So hopefully you got some value from this. Again, and I don't care what you're doing, right, whether you're making phone calls, you're prospecting for your business. You have to make a plan. You have to start. You have to track and measure, and you have to have a goal, right? How many am I going to do this? How long am I going to track and measure this to know exactly when I'm enrolling people into my team? I know if you make this many phone calls, you send this many emails, you send this many text messages, do this many presentations, I'm going to enroll this many people, right? I know that if I take 30 trades, that I'm going to end up with 6 losses. I'm going to end up with this much percentage of win. I'm going to end this much percentage of loss. I'm going to end up this many capital at the end of the next 30 trades. If you don't track and measure that, I guarantee you, you're going to be looking at your phone. You open up a $2,000 account. You're going to get in. You're going to get a win. You're going to get a win because you're just taking the trades from the educator, the instructor, and you're putting them in. You're putting them in. You're going to get to about trade 5, and then you get a loss. And the loss is because you put a 55 pip drawdown. And boom, you lose, and you go, and then you get the next one right. But it's happened. We've had 2 losses like back to back. It's happened. And then you're looking at your phone, you're freaking out like, and you don't know because you haven't been tracking and measuring. You freak out and like, oh, Forex doesn't work, trading doesn't work. This is screwed up. I lost all. You lost because you weren't paying attention and you weren't tracking, right? You have to have a mindset of you're going to lose when you're trading. You're going to lose when you're trading. You just need to figure out how small you want that loss to be, and the only way you're going to figure that out is using a system, just like I just showed you, to track each trade to know that over the next 10 trades, my maximum drawdown is X. Drawdown means that going in negative from where you entered, right? If you're in a short position or a sell, your goal is to go here without going here above your entry. Conversely, if you're going into a long position, you just do it on the reverse, right? So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Hope you're having an absolutely awesome Super Bowl weekend. Don't care who wins the Super Bowl, but we're going to have a fun Super Bowl party tomorrow after church. I love you. I appreciate you. Jesus loves you. Absolutely nothing you can do about that. I'm on a mission to have no more empty refrigerators and help you make a lot of money. Happy trading. Bye-bye.